we are studying chapter number 2 in political science, which is about electoral process. We have covered a lot of content in this chapter. We have understood that democracy may elections are necessary and elections should be free and fair. We understood that these elections are conducted by election commission. We have understood that in India, election commission is at two levels. One is at the central level, which is called the Election Commission of India, whose responsibility it is to conduct election for the national parliament and the state assemblies. And at the local level, that is Zilla level, city level, Gram Panchayat level, to conduct those elections, we have state election commissions. We have studied the process of election, 8-step process, and we have also looked at the functions of election commission. What we will do today is we will look at some of the important responsibilities of election commission, some of the important functions of election commission, and how they do it. This is more important, how they do it. Right? So let us start. This is what we studied in the last class, functions of election commission. Now, before we move forward, can you please quickly remind me what functions did we study? We studied 5 specific functions. You can speak, you can type. The 5 functions of election commission that we studied in the last class are preparing the voters list, number 1. Number 2, to decide the timetable and the program of elections. Number 3, scrutinize or the scrutiny of the application of candidates. Number 4, recognizing political parties. And number 5, to resolve any disputes relating to the elections. These are the 5 functions we have studied, and I told you that there can be more also. I think we listed 10 of them when we combine the election process and the functions that are given separately. This is what we will do today. We will see how, which are the more important responsibilities of election commission and how it performs its functions. Right? One of the most important functions and one of the first functions of election commission, because this is the first step of the election, is restructuring of constituencies or establishment of constituencies. In the election process that we studied, the flow chart that we studied, the first step was establishment of constituencies. Okay? In general, it is called restructuring of constituencies because जब पहली बार election हुआ था 1949 में, then the constituencies were established. From then onwards, the constituencies are being restructured. उनको फिर से बनाया जा रहा है. If you remember, we have a democracy, we have representation. That means people do not directly participate in the government. People elect the representatives, and those representatives participate in the elections. So ये constituency, the group of people that will elect a representative, that group is called a constituency. And on the land, the area where this group of people live is called a constituency. The people are called constituents. The place, the area is called the constituency. और उसका जो boundary होता है, वो boundary बनाने को कहते हैं delimitation, which is done by a commission within the commission. There is a delimitation commission, which is part of the election commission, which does this work. And it is said that this delimitation commission should not succumb to any pressure. वो किसी pressure में नहीं आएंगे, नहीं आना चाहिए. क्यों ऐसा कहा गया है? किसी pressure में नहीं आना चाहिए. अगर pressure में आएंगे तो क्या हो सकता है? Also, what should be the criteria? What should be the basis of creating these constituencies, restructuring these constituencies? Because we live in a representative democracy, the delimitation of the constituencies or the restructuring of the constituencies should depend on the population. Because the representation should be uniform. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है कि कहीं पे 1000 लोगों का एक रिप्रेजेंटेटिव है और कहीं पे 100 लोगों का एक रिप्रेजेंटेटिव. It is not fair. It should be uniform. And that is why the criteria of delimitation, the criteria of the constituency should depend on the population of a place. But many people, and it has happened historically, I'm not saying that it has happened in India, but across the world, what has happened is during the delimitation, constituency हम जानबूझकर ऐसा बना देते हैं कि मैं जीतूं. अगर मेरे सपोर्टर्स एक एरिया में हैं तो उनके चारों ओर मैं एक बाउंड्री बना देता हूं और मैं कहता हूं कि ये है कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी, तो मैं तो जीत जाऊंगा ना. एंड दिस टाइप ऑफ activity is called gerrymandering. Gerrymandering. If you remember, I had introduced this word to you on the first or second session of the chapter. This is the wrong way to do things. The way it should be done is population. Because we are an equal society. We don't discriminate between people based on religion, caste, language, money that they have. So everyone, the representation should be uniform. It should not matter what language I speak, what type of clothes I wear, what I eat, what religion I follow. If that is clear, we need to understand some facts. The facts are, currently there are 543 constituencies for Lok Sabha. So the entire country is divided into 543 constituencies. That means there are 543 members in Lok Sabha. We elect 553 representatives to go sit in the Lok Sabha, be part of the government or opposition and run the country. Out of these 543, 48 constituencies are in Maharashtra. We should know we are in Maharashtra. We should know how many constituencies are there in Maharashtra. You need to find out how many state level constituencies are there in Maharashtra. Do you think it will be more than 48 or less than 48? The number of constituencies in Maharashtra for the Vidhan Sabha elections, for the Legislative Assembly elections, they are more than 48. Okay? Because local elections, local government is more representative. So there are more people representing the same number of population in the state level. So you will find out how many seats are there or how many constituencies are there in state of Maharashtra. Very important part of this is restructuring of constituencies is some constituencies are reserved for candidates of SC and ST groups. We are linking it to the previous chapter. We studied about social justice, reservation. We understood that how we have had a problem in our society, which is called caste system. Because of that, people of certain castes they were discriminated against for thousands and thousands of years. So unko barabar lane ke liye, we have reservation system at many places. One of those places is we have identified that certain constituencies are SC/ST constituency. That means from those constituencies only the candidates can only be SC or ST, so that there are enough number of SC and ST representatives in our Lok Sabha. अगर हम ऐसा नहीं करेंगे तो हो सकता है कि एक भी SC/ST कैंडिडेट ना जीते. So just to ensure that there is fair representation of all types of people from all socio-economic background of our country, there are some reservations. If you remember, a very, very important function of the Election Commission, or the only function of the Election Commission, if we say what is the function of Election Commission, you can write it in one line. The function of the Election Commission is to conduct elections. So, to ensure that the elections are free and fair, we have discussed this already. We don't want people to be terrified. We don't want people to vote under any pressure. We want people to vote with free will, with proper thinking. To ensure that Election Commission implement something which is called a code of conduct. this code of conduct, whenever you see code, code means rule, conduct means behavior. So code of conduct is rules for the behavior. And these rules are not only applicable for the government, they are applicable for the government, for the political parties, as well as the voters. And these rules become applicable just before the elections. There is a formal announcement by the election commission कि आज से code of conduct implement हो रहा है, and it remains in place during the entire process of the election. Once the election is complete, this code of conduct is lifted. So this is additional rules and regulations that the government, the political parties, and the voters need to follow, need to adhere to during the elections. And this is mainly done to control the malpractices. Mal, a prefix, which means bad practice, काम, malpractice, गलत काम. You think and tell me what all can go wrong during an election, which a code of conduct can help us control. We have discussed this already. Very interesting question in your textbook. It says, which of the two conditions among the following? So they have listed 4 conditions, and the question is, which of the 2 conditions among the following is the violation of code of conduct? अब हमने तो पढ़ा नहीं है कि कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट में क्या लिखा है, बट हमको अंदाजा है कि कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट में क्या लिखा होगा. नाउ यू रीड these 4 points. I will read for you and think कि कौन सा नहीं होना चाहिए, मैंने कौन सा काम नहीं करना चाहिए, which will be a violation of code of conduct. First one, the candidate distributes items of household use. घर में यूज करने वाले सामान बांट रहे हैं कैंडिडेट. Promise made to resolve the water problem if elected. नहीं, जो कैंडिडेट है उन्होंने बोला आप मुझे जिताओ, मैं जीतूंगा तो पानी की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व कर दूंगा. Third, to go from door to door to meet voters and request them to vote. घर घर जाना और उनको रिक्वेस्ट करना कि मुझे वोट दो. This is called campaigning, canvassing. And number 4, to appeal on the basis of caste and religion to get support. धर्म के नाम पे, जाति के नाम पर बोलना कि मुझे वोट दो. तुम खुद ही सोचो और बताओ इसमें से कौन सा कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट में मना किया गया होगा कि आप नहीं कर सकते इसको, ये नहीं करना चाहिए. If we look at these things in a critical way, ये कहना कि मैं आपका प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करूंगा, अरे भाई इसीलिए तो तुमको नेता बना रहे हैं हम, तो इसमें गलत क्या है? उसमें कोई गलत नहीं. To go from door to door, meet voters and request them to vote, absolutely fine, nothing wrong. लेकिन सामान बांटना, कोई टीवी बांट रहा है, कोई साइकिल बांट रहा है, कोई चावल और चीनी बांटने लगते हैं. This is a type of bribe. You only said bribe is not, should not be there. But now when you look at in terms of items, so somehow you forget that this is also a bribe which should not be done. And clearly, 4th point, धर्म के नाम पर, जाति के नाम पर, ये तो करना ही नहीं है. We are one country, we are one people. So first one and 4th one, your answer is correct. First one and 4th one, कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट में लिखा है कि आप ये नहीं कर सकते, आपको ये नहीं करना है. अभी जो हमने देखा, हमने सोचा कि पार्टीज को क्या नहीं करना चाहिए या क्या करना चाहिए, कैंडिडेट्स को क्या करना चाहिए, क्या नहीं करना चाहिए. What about the voters? What about you and me? How should we conduct ourselves during the elections? During the entire election process? Think and suggest. ये तो आसान है बोलना ना कि उनको घूस नहीं देना चाहिए. They should not try to bribe us. Yes, what is our responsibility? What should be our code of conduct? No? All voters who are eligible to vote should vote. Voters should think and choose carefully who they want to vote for. Voters should not take bribes. voters should not vote according to religion and caste. They should vote based on more fundamental things, more issues, matters that are important for the place, for the country. Now we have understood what all goes in making an election successful. We will now start studying, we will now start analyzing what are the challenges and how these challenges can be overcome. What are the problems? What are the drawbacks in our system and how we can improve them? We will start this today. We will not complete it. And we will study this in two parts. Right? One heading will be challenges, another heading will be reforms. Let us look at what the challenges are. First of all, and it's not a mystery. Everyone knows that we are a very, very big country and we have a large population. So to conduct an election with so many voters is a big task. It's a difficult task. It takes a lot of time, money and effort. It's an operational challenge. बस अगर हम ज्यादा लोग लगाएंगे, अगर हम और ज्यादा समय लगाएंगे तो ये काम हो जाएगा और ये काम और आसान हो जाएगा if we follow the code of conduct. The parties, the government, the voters, if everyone follows the code of conduct. That is why it is necessary. It's just like class में teacher पढ़ाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. The class becomes more useful, more productive if the students also cooperate. If the students don't cooperate, then the teacher will not be able to teach. Okay? So similarly, if the government, the parties and the voters do not cooperate with the election commission, the election commission will not be able to conduct elections. Very common sense, basic things. But in addition to that, there are some challenges, very important challenges that we face in India. Not just in India, in other countries also. There are 4 that are listed in the textbook. There can be many. 4 are listed in the textbook. I have listed 3 on the slide. I will ask you to find out the 4th one. First one is misuse of money. And you know this already. Using money to bribe voters. Using money to tell other candidates कि तुम पैसे ले लो, तुम मेरे against में election मत लड़ो. है ना? तो we want a democracy, we want a representative democracy जिसमें कि candidate हमारा अच्छा हो. हमको ये नहीं चाहिए कि कैंडिडेट हमारा अमीर हो. So this is misuse of money. Another problem that we are facing is criminalization of politics. Many criminals or people with criminal records have entered politics. Remember, we studied when the candidates file their nomination forms, the election commission scrutinizes the form and the election commission asks for additional information. And one important set of additional information is criminal record. कि क्या आप पे कोई केस चल रहा है, क्या आपको कभी सजा हुई थी. The constitution says that there is no restriction on rich or poor people or on criminal or non-criminal people. Everyone can become a candidate, but it's not good. It's not always good. So the way election commission helps the voters decide properly is they ask the candidates to disclose उनके पास कितना पैसा है, कितना प्रॉपर्टीज है, so that वो अपने पैसे का गलत इस्तेमाल ना करें. Election Commission also asks the candidate to disclose कि उनका criminal record क्या है. Election Commission इतना ही कर सकता है. Election Commission cannot say कि आप पे केस चल रहा है, आप election नहीं लड़ सकते. That Election Commission cannot do. The Constitution doesn't allow. Now, what the Election Commission enables, the Election Commission facilitates, or the Election Commission forces the candidates to declare their money property and criminal records. Now the responsibility is on the voters, us, कि हम किसको वोट देके जिताते हैं. अगर हमको पता है कि एक कैंडिडेट के ऊपर 10 केस चल रहे हैं, उसके बाद भी if the voters want to vote for that person, no one can stop them. Democracy. And we have many people now in the politics who are not just candidates, who are part of the Lok Sabha, the Vidhan Sabha, who have criminal records, who have misused their money. But people have voted them. Now you need to start thinking how we can stop this. But this is a challenge for sure. Another challenge is violence. Violence against the voters, violence against the candidates. Agar mere, if I somehow am able to remove the opposition candidate, then I will win. Okay, so let me get that person killed. One type of violence. Another type of violence. I will, मैं धमकी दूंगा लोगों को, मुझे ही वोट दो. Or when the voting is happening, I will send my goons there to force them to vote for me. That's violence. Violence तो election के बाद में भी होता है. And it happened even in the recent West Bengal elections. After the elections, there was violence across the state. Done by both sides, winning side and the losing side. People have lost their lives. And you need to start thinking how we can stop this violence. Why is this violence happening? Is this violence happening because we are smart, we are educated, or this violence is happening because we are not smart? We are not thinking before doing. How is this violence any different from the simple violence that we have in the class? It is just at a different scale. I believe that if people are educated, if people think, if people understand, then we will not have these problems. The question is, how do we reach a state where people understand, people are educated, people think? So if someone asks you, what are the challenges of Indian democracy? Don't hesitate to add this lack of awareness of people. That's the correct point. You can also include, as Khadija suggested, that it's a big country, large population. It is difficult to conduct elections. Yes, that's correct. You can say that also. But that's just a logistical problem. The other things are more fundamental.